India and women in the workforce. In most countries, as their economies develop, more women enter the workforce. This is a pattern that repeated in China, Japan, and South Korea. Upon reaching a certain level of wealth, though, developed economies then began to experience a decrease in the female labor participation rate as women had the option to stay home or pursue higher education. India's female labor participation rate hit its peak in 2000 at 31%. Last year, it was 24%. It is among the 12 lowest in the world. However, India never truly hit the level of industrialization and modernization in the three countries I mentioned. India has yet to climb out of the ranks of lower middle income countries. The GDP per capita in India is 1/5 of China's. So this begs the question, why have women withdrawn from the workplace in the last 2 decades in India? Government officials in India will argue that the data is not valid because the rate does not fully capture women involved in unpaid domestic work like collecting firewood, cooking, and tutoring. They would argue this constitutes productive work. India has made great strides. The female literacy rate has increased from 54.2% in 2001 to 70.3% in 2022. Education is valued in women, and it increases their marriage prospects in India. The Indian female participation rate of 31% contrasts with other countries like neighboring Bangladesh. They have a rate of 38% last year versus 28% in 2000. So you have a 10% increase in the female participation rate in Bangladesh over the course of about 20 years. In fact, the GDP per capita of Bangladesh surpassed India in 2019. This may be partly due to looser labor laws, which have allowed aggressive factory expansion, as well as there's kind of like a lack of a strong caste system as much as there is in India. And the caste system kind of encourages social conformity, and I would argue it plays into a more conservative society. Economists attribute this to weak job creation and a deeply conservative culture. Why the India female participation rate in work is so low. India added 0 net jobs in the past decade, even though it is the world's fastest growing major economy. Increasing the female labor participation rate would lead to huge increases in GDP. There are only about 38 million women in paid employment in India versus almost 10 times as many men, 368 million men in the employed in the labor force in India. In parts of India, jobs are in short supply. Many jobs disappeared during the pandemic and never returned. The biggest employer in India still is agriculture. Jobs in the sector, though, have disappeared in recent decades as the industry has become more mechanized. Despite this, I believe India needs to continue to modernize and mechanize its agricultural industry. Despite worker displacement, I would argue that India needs to shift its emphasis to manufacturing, especially in coastal cities, where it should also upgrade its infrastructure. The world is looking for manufacturing alternatives to China. This is a great opportunity for India. Looking forward, there are a lot of opportunities currently for countries like India, for countries like Bangladesh, for places like Vietnam. Companies are looking to de-risk from China and add manufacturing capacity in countries in Asia that are more hospitable to the West. We've previously discussed the need for India to upgrade and improve its infrastructure, including its rails, ports, and road system. Perhaps equally important is bringing more women into the workforce. However, this kind of butts heads with more conservative cultural elements in Indian society and culture. I believe that households and husbands will appreciate their wives working outside the house when they see just how much money women can earn. I believe manufacturing wages can be equal or greater to what women can earn in the service sector. In addition, I believe manufacturing is the path forward for India to increase its GDP capita, and not just India, but places like Vietnam, Indonesia, countries like that. So there are a lot of opportunities looking forward, and countries like India need to take advantage of them.